If you live with chronic fatigue, you have to watch this video. Hi, I'm Gemma and I live with chronic fatigue, and I have for 3 years or so, and I've tried absolutely everything. You can watch my past videos about all the things that I've tried, and there's one thing that has actually made a difference, and is swimming. I know that if you live with chronic fatigue, maybe you don't want to try swimming because you may have, as I do, post-exertional malaise. I've also been there, and I had to pick up myself from pieces 3 times. So I've been very sick, unable to leave my house, unable to have a normal life, unable to even work. And now with swimming, I've been able to take up myself and bring myself back to normal 3 times. And this is how I've done it. Okay, so the first time that I tried do anything exercise related, as usual, I will end up very sick, like bedbound for a few days or even a whole week. But I still decided I want to give it a try. I want to swim. I want to try to do something. So I signed up for swimming classes, 45 minutes, twice a week. First time that I went swimming, I didn't even know how to swim. I ended up exhausted, terrible. I remember that I didn't even take showers for the first month. I would leave the pool, not even take a shower. I would walk 5 minutes because it's that close from my house, and I would go to bed, and then after sleeping for 3-4 hours, I would have some food. So obviously that was horrible. But after a month of like trying to go, even if I was feeling very sick, even if I was feeling exhausted, I forced myself to go. And yeah, every time that I went, I was like provoking myself another flare-up. So it was just a never-ending circle of going swimming, flare-up, recovering a little bit from the flare-up, and going swimming again and again and again and again. After 2 months, I started noticing that, hey, I can even take a shower after the swimming pool. And maybe I can even have some food and I'm fine. I'm not dying. So at 2 months from the first time that I was starting swimming, I was in bedbound. I was sick, but I wasn't super horrible sick. I was unable to work. That's been for a very long time that I have been unable to work. But after 2 months, I started to feel better. And then I started to swim 3 times a week, like 2 hours, 45 minutes and half an hour. And within another 2 months, I was feeling amazing. I went from not even being able to have a social life, not being able to do anything, not having the life not having a life basically. So from being super sick, unable to work, unable to leave my house, to have a social life, absolutely anything, to have energy again and being organized and wake up in the mornings and do things. And I was even thinking about going back to work. But then the pandemic hit and I became super sick again because swimming pool closed, and here in Spain at least we had a really strict confinement and quarantine, and we wouldn't even be able to go for a walk. We had to be at home all the time, and we only were able to leave the house if it was for like shopping, grocery shopping, pharmacy, and that's it. So 2 months of not being able to leave my house, and I became extremely sick again. So much more sick than ever before. I had never been so sick in my life. I remember that in August, when we were already trying to go back to a normal life, I remember that I spent 18 days in bed out of 31 days that August has. So I was extremely sick, but I knew that I had to start swimming again. And this time was horrendous. The first time I went swimming, I think I was able to be in the water for 15 minutes, and then I had to leave, and I rested a little bit, and I tried again. And then obviously that very same day I was feeling horrible, and the next day I had a horrible flare-up. And then a few days later I try again, go swimming again, a horrible flare-up, and I try, and another flare-up, and another flare-up, and another flare-up, and another flare-up. But I keep forcing myself to go swimming despite having flare-ups, basically. And then October, September, I was starting to feel a little bit better again. And then November, more swimming. I started swimming almost not every single day, but like my goal was to swim 5 hours a week. So I was trying to manage by January again, so another few months. This time it took me way longer to go to another peak of energy. In January I was feeling way better than before, and then they closed the swimming pools again, and then I got another flare up because after not being able to swim for 2 months, I became again very sick. And that's the time where I tried the supplements and everything. I tried the supplements in this period of time where I wasn't allowed to swim, and I tried walking, and walking doesn't do anything compared with swimming. Like, there's zero difference. And yoga doesn't do anything. It's swimming the thing that has helped me the most, and swimming has allowed me to 3 times go from extremely sick, very disabled, to what I am right now. So this is the 3rd time, and for now the last one, that I had to pick myself from pieces. Please, I hope I'm allowed to go swimming continuously from now on. So this time again, very sick. It took me like 2 months to be able to go back to swimming regularly on a weekly basis at least. So back in March they opened the swimming pools again, and again I went swimming and a flare up, swimming and a flare up. So I wasn't able to swim more than once a week or so, or twice a week. So it took me, April and May, 2 months to be able to pick up again swimming constantly, like a few times a week, like at least 2 to 3 times a week. And then it's been 6 months since I've been swimming continuously, at least 3 hours a week, around 2 kilometers a day, and I'm feeling great. I'm feeling so good. Like, I've never had this much energy since I got sick. Well, maybe since the first time that I was able to start swimming, that January, February, that was feeling great before the pandemic. So I'm back to that level of energy, and it feels amazing. And that's actually why I started this YouTube channel, because now I have the energy to record videos, edit videos, upload them, and do things. And before that was impossible. And now I can do it, and swimming has changed my life, and it's saving my life. So if you have to take anything away from this, if you're bedbound, extremely sick, extremely fatigued, I will try to go swimming very slowly, and I will prepare and allocate time for your flare up. I would allocate like maybe for 2-3 months, plan that you're going to be on flare ups constantly if you want to try swimming and pick it up. And after those 2-3 months, you're going to start feeling better. And probably after 6 months, you will go from feeling like shit to not feeling like shit. And that is amazing. And I know I haven't found absolutely anyone online who says this, and that's why I want to share my experience. I went extremely sick, an extremely horrendous level of sickness, to have a life again. Sometimes I still have flare-ups. Sometimes I feel very tired. I'm not saying that swimming cured me. Swimming did not cure me. Swimming it's a tool to control my fatigue and try to have a normal life. And I think that's amazing. And I wish more people told this story, because I wish I found someone that said how they went from very sick to not so sick. So I almost forgot to add that I'm currently swimming around 3 hours a week. If I swim more than that, normally I end up getting a little bit too tired, but 3 hours is completely fine. And I cannot stop swimming for more than 2 weeks, because that is the limit where I start getting very sick and my extremely fatigue settles in. So I know that I have 2 weeks window of not swimming before I get really sick. And it doesn't matter if within those 2 weeks, if I walk a lot or I try to do more exercise, it is swimming the main one that helps me keep my fatigue in check, basically. Okay, and that's it for today. I really hope that this video helps someone. And if you try going from very sick to not so sick, I would love if you can leave a comment on the section below and tell your experience with it. And I really hope my experience helps someone, because definitely swimming has definitely changed and saved my life. And that's something that I think is worth sharing. Okay, bye.